And we're back. Welcome to a very special edition of Dave and Ryan Review. It's actually Dave and Ryan and Jack review this
Hello.
week. Our friend Jack is joining us to review a film that all three of us, I think, hold fairly dear to our hearts. Um, One that brought us closer together and one we laughed at a lot, and that is Scary Movies. But first of all, how's everyone doing? How you doing, Dave?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, sat in my car so that I can laugh really loud at this review. Yeah,
And
welcome.
Jack, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. Glad to join in this one.
Yeah. So when Dave mentioned doing Scary Movie, I think it was nearly a no-brainer to get you involved. So I'm glad you came to sort of just have a chat with us about it.
Yeah, man, definitely.
Um, I think first off, I think you actually are the person that showed me this film. I'm pretty
Probably.
sure. I'm pretty sure um, that you showed me this film a long, long time ago now. Um, Obviously, if you've never seen, it's a spoof movie spoofing Scream from that was probably out a few years prior to that. So the sort of renaissance of the slasher films. But yeah, Scary Movie. Um, I think introduced me to the Wayans. Had you guys seen the Wayans in much before?
Not to my
I don't
my
think so.
memory.
No.
Yeah, I hadn't really seen them in much before this, so this was really my first sort of introduction to them. But yeah, I guess we'll kick things off. I mean, it starts off nearly exactly the same as Scream, right? Basically the same as Scream.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's not
Um,
far off. My
yeah,
first my first point was going to be how good the sets look in terms of it looking like the Scream film.
yeah, they did a really good
Looks
job of making it look exactly the same, nearly exactly the same. Um,
great.
and obviously we've got comedies, and I think one of the is the first joke, one of the first jokes about her boyfriend, I believe. I think
One of the first few.
it's one of the first ones we see. One of the first ones we hear, and it's. I mean, we're not going to go through every joke because we will literally be here for about 5 hours. But this one always got me. You know what's funny, and I wonder about you guys. Every time we watched it, there was like a different joke that really tickled me, and I think this was one of the ones that I got later on. It wasn't one of the ones I laughed at right at the beginning.
Yeah, I think it hit me pretty early on,
With
and then I think you kind of realized how ridiculously funny some of these things are in this film. I mean, you said it at the beginning there. For me, since you guys sort of invited me in on this, I was kind of thinking this week about kind of what was it about this film that I enjoyed so much. And I think one of the fundamental things is like the Scream movie.
Mm,
I loved.
yeah,
I know Dave loved it. Like
yeah,
it was one of those where we went down the local video shop and we used to rent out, you know, thriller films, and Scream was one of the first ones, and we just loved it. And then obviously, like as two and three came out, stuff like that. As you said, because they stick so close to the film with regards to the plot and the sets and even like some of the script and stuff like that. That's what made this film even better for me because it was
yeah.
literally kind of like, oh, it's just like the original, but funny.
Absolutely.
Definitely, I
They
couldn't
really
agree more.
Yeah,
And
that is
yeah,
a really good point. Yeah, absolutely. Go on, Dave.
I've got in my notes that actually adds to the humor because
Yeah,
you're
100%.
remembering the scene in a horror way, but then the fact that they flip it with the humor, adds to the funniness.
I was going to ask,
Yeah.
who's your
No,
favorite? Who?
that's what it used to do for me anyway.
No, absolutely. That is exactly it because it is so similar. There's the way it even is shot is like the same shot as Scream, except obviously this time it's in a
Yeah.
humorous sort of way. I was going to say, who's your favorite character? Does that change every time you watch it, or has it always been the same person every time you've watched it?
I think they.
have one. I don't have one, you know.
Yeah,
don't
I
have
don't
one.
know. Like all the characters have sort of like funny
Mm,
bits about them.
yeah,
You can't help but love like the Wayans brothers.
yeah.
Like Shorty, his character is just I don't know. I mean, that guy just cracks me up throughout the film. Do you know what I mean? And then you got Ray's sort of his campness
Mm.
that he plays throughout the film. Do you know what I mean? Only to throw in at the end that
That gets
I
me
ain't,
every
I ain't
time.
gay.
That gets me every time.
Although
But
this film
The shirt bit gets me every time. So does this shirt make me look gay? It's like, nah, man. And then he sort of tucks it up and turns it into like a crop top. He's like, what about now? He's like, no, that's right.
yeah, but, but even like Greg's anger
Yeah.
throughout the film and like his intensity and I don't know that yeah, all the characters definitely
Yeah.
I
give
think
something to this film.
Ray could be mine, to be honest.
Who?
I think Ray could be mine, even though they play the same joke of, oh look, he's gay, but he's not, sort of thing. They do it really well in every scene as well. Like they think of something creative, you know,
Mm.
whether it be that guy, who's kissing the other girl in the back seat of the car, and it's like, oh yeah, I love when you play with my ass, or whatever, and it's like that's not me. Oh right, this is so stupid, but yeah, Ray's hilarious, and then at the end, obviously, it's like if you hadn't noticed, Ray's gay as well, and he's like,
Excuse
no,
me.
I'm not. I wanted to go shopping.
It's just so many. Thing is, I was just thinking like, oh, which bits to talk about, but there are just so many funny bits in this.
Uh, the thing is, if I mean, I know for us three, there's one character that you know
So this is
he's not even a main character.
so if you've never seen the film, Jack is referring to a character named Kenny. Now in the actual film, he's probably only in it what like two times maybe. Um, he's the cameraman for Gail Weathers, who's the reporter in the Scary Movie. But in the special features, there were some deleted scenes, and one in particular always tickled us, and it was basically after Kenny had, I think he'd fallen in the woods. I think this part you sort of see a little bit of it in this, but not really. And it is so funny, and it is, and his voice, his acting, the look on his face, it is so funny. But it's not even in the main film, even though to me it might be one of the funniest things in
Yeah.
the whole thing, easily.
The thing is, I think what this film for me, like, it worked because I think the three of us have very similar humor.
Mm.
It may not be humor that everyone else has. I'm sure there's a high percentage of people that have seen this film and just think, nah. But I think if you give yourself to the film, if you let yourself enjoy it and you just have a laugh,
Yeah, I just
the
it's
film does it.
absolutely, and obviously this is. I think this is. I'm trying to think of spoof movies since then, since Scary Movie. Obviously, Scary Movie did quite a few, but there were some horrific ones like Disaster Movie and Superhero Movie, and
Yeah.
just horrific that don't even. At least this, like you said, I think, like you said, the thing that makes this work is that they at least tried to make it seem like the original
The
film,
actual
like
film.
Scream,
Yeah.
as the other ones just sort of went way off the rails. Um, but there's plenty. But it's just, there's so many. Like one for me always gets me is when black TV turn up. White people are getting killed. We're getting the fuck out of here.
I
It's
mean, I think this is the thing with it is that, yeah, there's a lot of politically incorrect things in this film. Do you know what I mean? Like you gotta have a laugh, go along with the jokey racism and the misogynism and all that sort of thing. You kind of just gotta go with it and just enjoy it for what it is and not be one of those. Oh, he's talking like that. It can't be funny.
I
You
think
know?
yeah, and I think with that they make fun of everyone. Do you know what I mean? In
Yeah.
this film, no one looks good. Everyone looks like an idiot. Everyone is made fun of. And
Mm.
it's not just like haha, let's just laugh at one type of person. It's like everyone's getting it. That's one of the reasons. Again, I think it's still funny. It's not just let's make fun of you know the the drug addict black guy, even or let's make fun of this girl, whatever. It's just like let's make fun of everyone and everything. Um, I'm just I keep catching flashes of this trailer, and even the I think a bit always tickles you, Jack, is the Matrix fight
Yeah.
near the end of the
Okay.
film, which is just
Yeah.
so good. It's such a good
I
rip
mean,
off of the Matrix.
there's definitely parts of like I said when you guys sort of invite me on this, I sat and I was like, right, this film. I tried to sort of it's been a little while since I've watched it, and I was trying to sort of go through it in my mind, and I thought, do you know what, I'm just going to watch it. So I rewatched it. But actually, I finished it this morning. And I'm glad I did because there's so many sort of like little hidden bits. But yeah, that's kind of like one of the little elements that kind of like I didn't think of. But like, well, obviously when the Matrix first came out, like they obviously it was like the first time really to do like slow mo on TV like that. And I don't think this film came out too long after. So for then, and then they put in like the Matrix slow mo bit, and it was like, wow, like they've done it too. Like,
Yeah,
all the little, all the kind of like little clips and stuff like that that relate to sort of the films that were going on around that time.
Mm.
absolutely. Because it was, I think, yeah, the
I've
Matrix must have been maybe a couple of years before this.
maybe like
Yeah,
two
I
or
don't think there was much in it.
It wasn't
what I
long.
was going to say is that in this film they do really well with their little props. Um, for example, you've got Sydney with, oh, do you know they animal test all this lipstick? And then she's got like a little flyer, and it's got the monkey has got lipstick all over its face.
Yeah,
And then you've got like the one of the guys gets his report card and it's all F's, and it says the word dumbass on it, and it's like oh, you got one A like in the word
yeah.
dumb. And there's loads of little props that pop up in this film that are also hilarious. Um, one of my one of my bits early on, and I was watching it today, that got me was you've got Sydney Campbell and Bobby, her boyfriend, in the bedroom, and as he's about to leave, she's like, do you want to see PG-13? And she goes to open her top like she does in the Scream film, but instead you've got a man's wobbly chest with hair all over it,
Oh,
and it's
jeez, yeah.
just so you pull backwards out of the window, and it's just hilarious.
I think I was just again in the trailer. One of my favorite. So obviously, it's the same setup as Scream. This killer is killing them one by one because it's again spoofing what I know what you did last summer as well. But my favorite kills the what's her friend's name? The black girl. I can't remember her name.
Oh, what in the cinema?
Yeah, yeah, and obviously
Yeah, and
before
obviously
before
they,
we get to that, we get Armored Star 2, in
yeah,
the which is a brilliant trailer. I'm king of the world, and
it's supposed to be like a Titanic trailer, isn't it?
yeah, and then you hear the whip like, "Get back downstairs, boy," and it's like Armored Star
Almost
2.
too.
And then everyone, because she is being stereotypically black at that moment in the cinema. Oh, don't go in there! Oh my! Like she's screaming and everything. Basically, the killer manages to get everyone else to kill her for him, and he's just sitting there chilling, basically. And it's so funny. Just see it like there's like isn't it like Mother Teresa gets up and stabs her and like all
Yeah, the
like
Shaolin monk
it
and like a
just
Jewish
everyone's
rabbi.
yeah
This is
everyone's
for Schindler's List.
yeah, everyone's just stabbing her. That's a brilliant kill. That one. That is so funny.
Do you know? I looked up how many movie references there are. Can you guess how many there were?
What in this film?
I
Yeah.
mean,
Whether
Uh,
I,
whether it be whether it be them acting out the scene or talking and referencing it.
I
I'm gonna
reckon
say
there's got to be.
60.
60?
Oh,
No,
not sure I would have gone that high. I, I,
25.
oh, I was
25.
literally going to say like 2025. I reckon.
Because I was
Yeah.
just thinking like in the background, all this stuff, but oh yeah, I overestimated. But maybe it got worse in later ones because I swear it was probably closer to that in the later ones anyway. But
They were probably just chucking everything in the later one.
They
yeah,
actually reference Scream 1 and Scream 2, isn't it? If you think about that cinema scene.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's Scream 2.
yeah. Um,
And then obviously they even like as you say, it's not just Scream. Actually, it's kind of based off how I know he did last summer. But
yeah,
obviously, then at one point they talk about the fat Jamaican. Well, he's actually from I know he did last summer too, isn't he?
yeah.
Yeah.
With Jack Black. So just a little reference like that. There's another film.
It's yeah, and just there's again, it's I think Sydney. Is it Anna Faris? She is so funny. The as Sydney is so good. She's at times like plays dumb, and then when she's like screaming and being sort of over the top, she is just brilliant as the main character, kind of the main
I
character.
think this was one of her first films. I think wasn't it?
Yeah, but I think
I think this is
I
kind of
didn't
what
don't remember.
introduced her.
Yeah, I don't remember if I'm sure she was probably in some smaller things before this, but she was just brilliant in this film. The guy that
Mm,
plays her boyfriend, I don't know if I've seen him in anything else really. If you
Bobby.
guys, Bobby, I don't remember seeing him in much else.
Nah,
He was pretty
nothing
funny.
comes to mind to be honest.
I feel like isn't he the brother in Gone in 60 Seconds? Or is that someone else?
No, that's someone else.
No.
No, yeah, that's
Is it Ribisi, isn't it? It's the guy. It's Frank,
yeah, I
isn't it?
can't
Frank
remember.
Jr. Isn't it? From Friends, isn't it?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's him. Yeah.
Um, but no, yeah, I mean, this film just every time. I don't think I've ever watched it and not enjoyed it. I think, and like you were saying earlier, Jack, I'm not sure because it is in air quotes politically incorrect now to make fun of anything. Um, I think this film just couldn't be made now. You couldn't make a film like this without it being quite watered down.
Yeah.
Um, it would. I just don't. I can't imagine anyone having the intestinal fortitude to just go. You know what? We're gonna just go for it and make something like this, even if it annoys people or upsets people, because this would be outrageous now if someone did release something like this. Um,
I mean,
It's
it's everything really, isn't it? I mean, even like the guy that plays Doofy. I mean, you know, there's going to be some people that have some complaints about that.
he, yeah, and obviously Doofy, because that is from, is it The Usual Suspects? That's another reference there, where at the end where you see
Yeah,
him walk off properly. Um, but yeah, like when he's when he comes out of the room with the Hoover, and I mean, it's just he is a hilarious character. Where the guy's like, "Hey, smell my finger," and it's like, what does the policeman say? I can't even. It's like that's what a man
that's what
smells
it means.
like.
That's what it means to be a man. And then he's like, "Smell my finger." What's that? My ass.
what the hell is
What?
that?
Get away from me.
Oh man, this
It,
yeah,
it, it, it it's simple, childish toilet humor sometimes,
yeah, but it's
I
just
but
don't
that's
think.
okay.
I think they do it so well. Um, in it, they do it really really well in this film. Even the sort of like teen romance scene where Bobby and Sydney are getting together is hilarious. I know again, Jack, one of your favourite parts of this one, where
What near at the end?
yeah, when they're in the party, they're having the typical teen party, and they go upstairs and they're like, you know, let's get down to it, and then he pulls away her knickers partly, and bats fly out. I think firstly,
Yeah,
and, and then he pulls them all down, and it's basically a hedge, and she's like, "Oh, it's been a while." Um, and he starts getting out the chainsaw, and he's chainsawing away, and it's just it's a joke after joke after joke about this whole thing. It's so funny.
I think Jack should explain the end of the scene.
I mean, I I think it just got me because obviously, like, I mean, it turns out like his whole motive for like doing the killing is lack of sex.
Mm.
So it kind, and the whole film starts with her with kind of like the electric wire around her genitalia area to stop him from getting there. So it's pretty obvious that like she's been holding out and like not giving him the sexual attention that he wants. So then, yeah, I think when she's obviously had a few drinks and finally gives into it, I think, sure she's in the
Oh
mood
yeah,
and
Bobby.
starts roaring away, and obviously he just can't take it anymore, and it just explodes on the ceiling, and just you see his entire body mass just reduced down to a skeleton.
I mean, just ridiculous
That was
and
good.
hilarious. Go on, Dave.
No, I said that was a good description. That was fun. Yeah, I've watched Jack so many times, watched that scene, and I'm laughing and crying, but is always laughing. He can never not laugh and watch it. That's a
think
mark of a
I
good.
think I think it's the pure exhaustion sound that he makes as he just finally, after all this time, explodes his load. It's like finally.
You know what? I was just looking at this again, seeing this trailer, and I was like, I wonder who was actually playing the killer. Like, who was actually in the suit? Because he has some just his mannerisms. Like even when he's with like getting high with Shorty's mates, or when he bursts out of the wardrobe and like, and he sort of does does that, and it's hilarious. Whoever is in there is so funny. Even when he's like hiding behind the sofa and his little feet are sort of kicking out
Mhm.
from the sofa, like I can see your feet.
Not
It's-
vegan.
and
I mean, I like to think that it's the Doofy character, but I doubt that they had him playing both.
yeah, I don't think. I
But
wonder who. I'd love to know who that was actually. I'd never even thought of that before. Like who was
one if
actually.
it's like the third, like one of the third Wayne's brothers or something.
Yeah, it
Who
could
knows?
be. I mean, they were everywhere. But yeah, this. I mean, and this, like you said, and I think the one character I always forget about is the dad, the Sydney's dad, and he has some hilarious moments in this film, and I think he ends up at the end is he like ball gagged at the end and he's tied up.
Yeah, but his whole thing is that he's like some sort of
Like drug
drug
deal.
dealer, isn't he? The
Yes.
whole time. So every time he's like, "Remember Cindy, flush the stash."
You've loved that joke since you were 2 years old.
It's so good.
Baking soda, not baking powder. Otherwise, they have little muffins growing out of their nose.
At the end, when when like it's all over, he's like, and someone planted drugs all in the house.
Policeman just looks at him like, "Okay."
I think that I was just thinking, like, obviously we were talking about the first scary movie, and I think we unanimously like this film. I still think it's funny. Um, I do think it's the best one out of the bunch. I think I said to Dave recently, I think the others, they lost me with the others, to be honest, with
What?
past this one.
What the other scary movies?
Yeah, yeah, I didn't
Ah,
really.
see,
I know you
see, I
guys, you guys quite enjoy the others, but I just can't get on board
yeah,
with them.
see, Scary Movie two. Scary Movie two. I enjoy nearly almost just as much. I mean, I know it's based off The Haunting, so I suppose like
Yeah,
the film it's based off the series isn't as kind of iconic
yeah,
or might not have been seen as much. But yeah, but then I think there's some great references in that because they do kind of like there's like the racing. In the wheelchairs, and it's going into another film. But yeah, I don't know. I felt like there's still a lot of kind of like
yeah. I think it just got a bit.
sort
I
of
think
cult sort
this.
of references and stuff like
I
that.
feel like the second one got a little bit too silly for me, and then the third just has gone completely off the rails.
Ah, see, I
Um,
didn't mind the third one either, like based off of Signs and 8 Mile.
yeah, I didn't like the actors.
It,
Obviously, the
it,
Wayans had left with
the
that
Waynes
point,
weren't in it. Yeah, that's true.
and so they for me they were the funniest guys.
Yeah.
And then
You could
obviously it
argue,
just was different. God no.
I think you could make a case, like you were saying earlier, like skip the first one could not be for anyone as well, and it's like
Mm.
it's whether it grabs you or not. I would say with number two, I think it's incredibly original because it's like it could have just gone for like Scream 2, couldn't it? And
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they just chose a whole nother batch of films to kind of base it off of.
but they did do a lot of silly stuff, and it wasn't because obviously like the sets and the stuff like in the first one, it's kind of it is a very different film, but I do love it as much. I can't really, yeah. Three I enjoyed, but I know what you're saying about like the main characters are different. It's a different cast, and but there's some, I think in any of the scary movies, there's some fun to be found.
Yeah. So I
I mean,
think
stick
doing
with the
like the
first.
little doing sort of like the little cult references and stuff like that, like in the first one where they did, everyone knew about the Budweiser advert, the what that. Do you know what I mean? Putting that in, you're like, oh, that's the advert. And in number two, I think they do the Nike advert with like the basketball.
Yes.
So I think that was a good way of sort of getting your attention as well. So you'd kind of see that and be like, oh, I just watched that advert. Like,
Mm.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, that's true. I think yeah, just I think it's because I guess because I wasn't on I wasn't as on board with the film they were spoofing. Do you know what I mean? Like
mm,
I'd seen Scream
yeah,
and I enjoyed Scream, and this one and the second one is like I'd never seen The Haunting, and I'm unlikely to ever see The Haunting. Um, as people may not know, I do not watch scary films at all in any way, shape, or form. And I don't really see Scream isn't really a scary film in the traditional sense. Like I think you were saying, it's more of a thriller
more
than
of a
than a,
killer thriller.
yeah, rather than a straight up scary movie. So yeah, I didn't really have as much, with The Haunting. I don't have no sort of frame of reference for all the different things that are happening in that film, so it just didn't land with me as much. But no, it was just this. If I think every time I watch this film, I think just thinking about it, it always makes me smile. I wonder how you. I know Dave, you watched it again. How did you feel watching it again?
What today?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so put it on today, and I was sort of I'd seen the opening that I know very well, and I sort of asked myself, is this actually funny anymore? Because it's been a while, and I was cracking up. It was just so funny. The beggar who is asking for $1, and Sydney's like, here you go, it's a nice sandwich. I said $1, throws a sandwich. Little moments like that. It's the little things that get me. The little humor, the big jokes. I can't believe we've not mentioned the guy on the top of the roof. I'm going to kill myself or whatever.
What are you waiting for?
I can't take this job anymore. Yeah, what are you waiting for?
What am I
There's so
waiting
many
for?
little.
What am I waiting for?
So yeah, it just really got me. It went really quickly as well. I'm just like, oh, it's over.
That's true. Yeah, some the smaller jokes can be as funny, if not funnier, for some of it, rather than the sort of yeah. That's very true about that film. I was just thinking
Like,
even the after credits bit with Shorty, where he's
mm,
delivering the lines that I think who was it in the original? Someone else delivered like the ways to survive a scary movie, wasn't it?
It was
Was it
Randy, wasn't it?
Randy?
Randy
That
would
was it.
scream because he was all about the ways to survive.
And but it was obviously Shorty delivering those lines, but all he was suggesting was how to get out of a shop. The snatch and run, fools, and they all run out of the shop and steal all the stuff that they can steal. Get out of my shop! And he's got a shotgun and he starts shooting them. So pretty funny moment as well. So it's just like they just carry on, and it's so good.
mm,
Such an excellent.
really good, really good film.
Yeah, so I would definitely suggest if you haven't seen it, definitely see it. Um, especially if you're around the age you would have been, between the ages of, I guess, like 10 and 20 at the time, it would probably land very well with you. Um, I'd be interested to know if anyone that has no frame reference for some of this, other than just having seen Scream, I wonder if they would find this as funny. I bet they would. I think there's a lot of funny stuff in this.
Yeah, I think you should. As I said, it's about being open-minded. It's about just going with it. Because I say, like, I watched it again. And there's obviously some inconsistencies with stuff like you just stab someone and there's no blood on the knife, and do you know what I mean? Like stab someone through the chest and there's nothing there, and then all of a sudden it cuts and he's got a hook coming out of his chest. it's little things like, but it's the sort of thing you would expect in some multi-million pound film that's being made. This wasn't this. This was a spoof film.
You know
It's
what? And I,
supposed to be. It's supposed to be a bit funny. It's supposed to be a bit tacky. It's supposed to be a bit cheap. Do you know what I mean? Like that was kind of like
you know,
the
that's exactly it. And I think
enjoyment
you
of
just
it.
don't, you don't, I don't mark it down for stuff like that because it's like it's not to be taken seriously. That's the, like I
No,
said, that's the point of it.
yeah.
So it's
Mm.
so yeah, no, I mean, there's many. I mean, in terms of spoofs, there's quite a few other spoof movies out there, but I feel like this is probably my favorite. I guess I would say
Yeah, and I think it's one of it's the original. Are you aware of a spoof film that you watched or enjoyed prior to this?
that I had watched before this, maybe Airplane.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I suppose they brought out a
But
couple
the
of those, didn't they?
Airplane, I know they
The
did
Naked
Star
Gun, I
Wars, didn't
suppose,
they?
didn't they?
And they did Hot Shots, wasn't it?
Mm.
The one with
Is
Charlie
Naked
Sheen.
is Naked Gun in that
Yeah, I was going
category?
to say
Ye-
Naked Gun, probably.
Yeah, it probably is. It is a spoof. Yeah,
Okay, so ignore that comment then. There were plenty before this. However,
but no, there are good ones. I really enjoy Naked Gun and Airplane, but I do very much because this was, we were teens watching it. It was, sort of was speaking to us at that time. So I feel like this is definitely one of my favorites. If there's a moment in the trailer, I just saw actually that, where they run over the man, and he gets up like, "Hey, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. It's okay." And then he throws the bottle and knocks him out. Just brilliant. Like, it's just so funny.
you're like, guys, it's okay. You didn't kill this guy. The film doesn't need to happen.
And then it's like, oh, and then, yeah, and even just a little moment that I always remember even when I think Dave asked me what was one of my favorite moments, and it's when they're arguing about whether to tell anyone or not, and they all agree not to say anything, and Sydney's like, oh, I don't know, and I think it's Greg just elbow drops her
It
like
just
over and over.
absolutely
He
beats the crap
destroys
out of
her
her.
and just drops this massive elbow on her to finish it. And it always, again, that one makes me chuckle all the time. So yeah, I think you can find a lot of these little bits, little bits in here that for you that you can find. I think as a maybe as a little wrap up, what would you say is your favorite moment, Dave? You have to pick one.
Moment.
Your favorite moment in Scary Movie.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's all one big complete. Ah. I was going to talk about Miss Man and
I,
talking about
I have literally. I mean, I'm just telling you. I've got the film running in the background, which I'm kind of skipping through it. And just as you said that, I just got to the bit with Miss Man.
Miss.
I mean how it impolitically corrected now. Wow, that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Very butch-looking woman with gigantic testicles hanging
I always, I
out
always
of her skirt.
if you'd ask me my favorite scene, I really enjoy the opening in
Yeah, I
because
would agree with that.
it sets up. It's showing you what the film is in the opening. It's showing you like almost like the budget, the humor. Run to death or run to safety. I'm going to run to death. Oh, you've got. Oh, I don't know if that's where she picks up the banana. I think that's later on. But the bit where my boyfriend's big and black and he's gonna kick your, and it turns out to be Prince
Prince.
guy. That bit. Help! Help! That, that that bit's always really funny. And they do a really good job of doing the Drew Barrymore sort of opening, and the dad driving back, and he's whatever distracted. I showed my mum that opening scene, and she was like, "David, what are you doing?"
For me, it's either the opening scene, which is again just because it recreates Scream so well, or it's the fight scene at the end. There's just so many funny moments. I think is it she throws her grandma down the stairs at at him, and then
Piano.
the piano comes down, and he does that funny run and down the stairs, and It's just yeah, that it's brilliant. That is.
Just go to the side.
Yeah,
Just move, just take a step.
Jack, what would you say yours is?
Honestly, I don't think I can pick a particular bit. As I said, I've literally just sort of, since we've been on the phone, I've kind of just sort of filtered through the film, and it is just scene after scene for me. I get to a scene, I'm like, oh, that, but where they're all smoking, they're all high, and then they start rapping, and
Mm.
that's just after the sex scene bit that we talked about, which has always been a hilarious bit to me. And yeah,
We, me and Jack always hated that guy who starts rapping at the beginning. He's so bad.
skinny white guy.
With
Yeah,
that
he's
hat
pretty
on.
bad. He's got like the bucket hat, hasn't he? He's got that like yeah.
Yeah, we were just like, I remember so many times we're like, oh, shut up. Like, so not even rapping. So bad.
But yeah, I know. I honestly don't think I could put a finger on and be like, that's one of my favorite scenes because I do just enjoy the film as a whole. There's just, yeah.
Yours is the bedroom scene. I'm picking it for you.
All right, you pick it for me. It will never cease to make me laugh. So yeah, I'll take it.
All right. So I think that's that. I think this has been good. I've enjoyed having you on there, Jack, and
Cheers, man. Yeah,
we'll have. I'm
no,
sure
enjoyed
we'll pick some more
enjoyed
films.
reminiscing.
Yeah, very much so. It's one of those sort of teen formative like movies. I think it was so funny at the time, and like you said, it's quite raunchy as well. So you're watching it like and you're 13, 14, laughing at that kind of stuff, and it was yeah brilliant. So no, really really appreciate it. Maybe
Let
we
me.
can maybe we could do another joint one next week, Dave. I don't know what film we could do.
I'm not sure.
We'll have a
I'm
think.
just going to say before we finish, I want to just tell people that us three used to hang out and watch this. And when we watched the deleted scene that we spoke about earlier, I think it's called Kenny Sets a Surveillance or Gail Sets a Surveillance. We watched it so many times, and then when the film was over, we were just referencing, oh, Gail, and just loads of stuff. I think Sean was with us as well all night long, and we couldn't get to sleep. I think we were, how old were we? 15, 16, 17, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that will live in my memory, and obviously that's testament to this film. Um, Lots of silliness, love it.
yeah. A lot of good memories have come from the film.
Definitely, absolutely. Yeah, brilliant, brilliant times. All right, so that's it for this week. This is a review of Scary Movie. We'll have a think and try and get Jack on again because I really enjoyed that. And yeah, thanks for listening in.
Thanks, guys.